Discovery Tuesday. Today we'll be talking about a particular topic that many people are not aware of, as you know, by the name that it goes, but they understand, they see the, they see the traits and the characters around them, especially in the lives of their loved one, significant other in which they're in a relationship with, and they don't seem to understand what's going on. It's like you're wondering, you just know that something is off. This person seems okay, this person seems to understand, this person, sorry, seems to know, seems to know what he wants, but when it has to do with connecting with you in an emotional manner, he or she doesn't seem to get it. You just know that there's something off. When it has to do with commitment, there's something off. So today we're going to be talking about how to deal with, emotionally unavailable men. Well, today is the women's folk that we're focusing on, but I believe that also it's not only men that are emotionally unavailable in their relationships. Some women are too. So we're going to be discussing that today. And with me today to do justice to this topic, it's a personal friend, is a mentor. She's the transformational coach. Not only she, she's also a minister of the gospel. She's a wife, she's a mother, and she's the convener of Come Alive project. Yeah, so I have with me in the studio today Mrs. Modupe Ekpenyong. Hello, Mama.
Hello.
Oh, yeah.
Hello.
So good to have you today. So good to have you here.
Nice to be here. Thanks for having me. Hello, everyone.
Thank you so very much. It's always a pleasure, having a conversation with you. There's a lot I've learned through the years just relating with you. I mean, deep truths, deep concepts. I like the fact that you're real and that you're also principled. Thank you so very much for joining us today. So without much ado, we'll just go straight right into the topic of our conversation today.
So before we talk about emotionally unavailable, I'd like to just shed a little light on what emotion is the response of your mind to external influences. So it's like emotions are like signals. They're like signals,
Okay.
flags. They tell you something is going on, it hits a chord in you, and then you respond. You make a costly mistake in public, and the sense of shame comes, and then someone does something really nice to you, and you feel so loved, and then the sense of, joy and happiness, something just comes. Emotions are inherent, but something happens that awakens them. So they are like guards. They tell us, hey, something is happening. It's good, it's bad, it's pleasant, it's not pleasant. A lot of people think having emotions, is something you shouldn't be proud of, but we should be proud of it. You should be proud that you have emotions. When they come, you should celebrate, like, oh, my security system is working fine. That's what you should say to yourself. So when someone gets to the point, I have to say something also, that when emotions come, when you feel these things, you just know that you need to do something. Now, we are not supposed to be so spontaneous with our emotions, and that is where we have issues. The spontaneity is what makes us communicate what we shouldn't communicate at the time, the wrong thing at the wrong time, or the wrong thing at the right time. Now, you can say someone is emotionally unavailable when the person has a problem communicating his or her emotions, and also understanding and receiving other people when they express their emotions, because you're supposed to actually interpret your emotion, sort your emotion before you express your emotion if need be. And now it's your ability to interpret, sort, that determines how you express, and if your expression is going to communicate the right thing. Every expression is a communication. Whatever you express, you're communicating. So a person is emotionally available when the person cannot adequately interpret, sort, and even express their emotions. So it's like being numb emotionally.
Okay, okay, I get it now. So that accounts for the unavailability, yes, emotionally unavailable. All right. Okay, now okay, okay. Are there really people like that really don't have any emotions as you were, or they don't express them?
There are no one can say I don't have emotions. Everyone has emotions. It's the
Okay.
communication. It's the communication. You can practice suppressing it as much as possible, but we all have emotions. That
Oh,
I
sure.
didn't express doesn't mean I didn't feel the sense of anger.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Because
Do you
anger
get?
is an emotion.
Anger is an emotion. Or that I did not communicate to you how much I love you doesn't mean I don't love you. So the
Exactly.
problem is
Exactly.
it's not in the feeling, it's in the communication. And not just in the communication, it's also in understanding what you are feeling. A lot of people can't
Okay.
communicate adequately because they do not have good understanding of what they feel. So you find
Hmm.
someone
Hmm.
may under communicate, over communicate, like communicate something different entirely apart
From
from
what is
what
intended.
they someone experience shame, but the person comes out with an outburst of anger. Have you seen that before? But that's the sense
Yeah.
of shame. The
Yeah.
person was in the act of doing something that is inappropriate, and you find the person just burst out in anger, and you find the person becomes defensive, and you almost feel wrong being the one that caught them in the act. They will communicate to you that you're wrong. So that it's not that you don't feel when you're emotionally unavailable. It's not that you don't feel, you feel. It's just that you do not communicate it appropriately because you
Mm-hmm.
cannot understand, because you choose not to.
Exactly.
There are two,
Exactly.
ways to it. So we cannot see people who are emotionally unavailable as victims all the time. Some
Okay.
of them are victims
Mm. Mm-hmm.
and not they know exactly what they are doing. Because there are, well, we'll get to that. We'll get to reasons,
Sure.
the causes
Exactly.
of emotional availability.
All right. Thank you so very much for that exposition. Okay, that takes me to my next question. Now, what are the traits? What are those traits that characterizes such individual? Because people are in relationship with with their significant other, and they just know something is amiss. They can't tell, but they just cannot put it in words. But they just know that this guy doesn't connect. There's no connection. So, what are those traits that actually characterizes somebody who is said to be emotionally unavailable?
I like what you just said now, that people will say there's no connection. There's no
Exactly.
connection. A lot of times what we call connection is the feeling, that feeling that the action, the other person, the person's action brings out in you. That's what it's I connected with her beautifully. It means as perhaps somebody was just, you were listening to a particular person and you just begin to feel endeared towards the person. And you begin to feel, oh, I've known this person. It's as if I've known this person all my life. It's what you are saying is that what this person is saying or doing is reaching out to my emotions in a positive way. And
Okay.
that's where connect. That's where we connect. The moment you just find you don't even know why. You just I don't know why. There's just something about him or her. That's why you cannot understand why a man or a woman will meet someone for the first time and say, I just love her. You wonder what's this love? What do you know
Yeah.
about this person? How do you love the person? Perhaps the person's appearance, perhaps the way the person talked, perhaps something the person did reached out to you, and it just hits that chord of the romantic emotion feeling inside you. And you can just say, I love him. I just want to see more of him. It's something that the person awakened inside you that makes you say, I connect. I connect.
Okay.
And that's why
Okay.
connect before they marry, and then after marriage, they don't connect anymore after a while.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's like a guitar, it's not hitting the right chord anymore. It's not hitting the right chord anymore. That's why it may be spontaneous to be emotionally connected before you marry, but it will not
Mm-hmm.
have to be emotional to be emotionally connected after you marry, because the other person just becomes a normal thing. You become familiar, and you don't make any extra effort, and whatever it is that attracted that person to you may be fading out unknowingly. A lot of people don't even know why they what they feel. So they don't even know what to fear and what to starve. They don't know why do I feel like this towards this person. That's why people can be helplessly in love, because they don't know why they feel what they feel. If you know why you feel what you feel, you will be helplessly in love. You have a lot of help being in love, because you know what makes you feel. You know what you need and what you don't need, and you can do away with it. This is why it's important that we focus a lot on emotional intelligence, because it's the reason a lot of relationships, are breaking. So you're talking about the traits to look out for. There are a lot of things, but one of the things you need to look out for is the fact that the person finds it difficult to communicate. I've mentioned that earlier, to say exactly how they feel. So you find someone is angry. This person is angry, actually angry. However, he finds it difficult. He finds it absolutely difficult to say, I am angry. And then you find the person is showing a different disposition, maybe distance. The person is distant. You just wonder, why are you then they don't usually encourage communications, conversations. You find they are reluctant, emotionally unavailable, are reluctant to have conversations. And this is why, because they don't want to get to the point where they have to explain how they feel. They are
Wow.
avoiding
Wow.
it. And
Okay.
sometimes this is unconscious. They don't even know. They don't even know that they are avoiding it. They feel that you are irritating them. That's how they feel like. So you find that an emotionally unavailable person can be irritable. Why? Especially when you are with somebody who is trying to get them to connect. That action might make them irritated, like, why are you pushing so hard? Because they just don't feel. Humans, we are emotional beings. See, there's a
Sure.
feeling behind many actions. There's a feeling behind many actions. That's why you have to hope that the person you're going to relate with at every point in time is in the right mood to respond to you appropriately.
She talked about that their inability to communicate is because they are not in tune with their emotions. And oftentimes, such people also fear to make commitments. You often wonder why, maybe you already discussed with them that, okay, fine, we're going out, we're going on vacation, we're going out maybe on a dinner or a walk or something. And you find out that when it's time, the person begins to cook up excuses why it's not possible, why he's not available, why he cannot make the trip, and all manner of excuses. And you begin to wonder that I thought we just agreed, And such people, if you're in relationship, probably maybe long-term relationship, they are not people that naturally would want to do an audit of the relationship, like, okay, let's talk about how far we have come. Let's talk about the next 10 years, the next 5 years. They fear commitment of all sorts, and they just like, okay, fine, we're working on it, I'm working on it, and that's the response. Most times they just say those things. Maybe if you pester, for a while, they might just say, okay, okay, let's talk about it tomorrow. I need to, get in the mood. I'm actually not in the mood for such conversation. But they always run away from commitment, always run away from things that would engage them, things that would demand, that they put in effort, and that's the thing, in our society today. People just like the idea of being married, having someone care for you, take care of your stuff, and make sure the home front is going on well. But when it has to do with the commitment, the responsibilities, the work that needs to be put in so that that relationship flourishes, they begin to run away from them. That's one of the traits of emotionally unavailable people.
They
Oh,
get unaffectionate. You once you say one thing, they react quickly, and you'll be wondering, I didn't say anything that serious. Reacting so bad, and then they are quick to shift blame. For
ooh,
example, you approach someone who is emotionally unavailable, especially one who is emotionally unavailable intentionally, and you say, you've been distant these days. You find them immediately say something like, but you're the one who has been busy. They just get into the defensive mode. They begin to explain away the reason why or they can give excuses and all that. They can be very defensive. Emotionally unavailable people, then they can be unwilling to try new things, unwilling to initiate conversation, unwilling to attempt
Mm.
something different,
Yeah.
adventure, experience adventures and all that. They just don't want to try. Now,
Okay.
there are two reasons why people can be, or two different types of emotionally unavailable people. We have those that are intentionally emotionally unavailable, and those
Yeah.
that are unknowingly emotionally unavailable. Now, if you have
Okay.
one knowing, the person can easily work on it with, and you can have a smooth journey. Now, the ones who are intentionally unavailable are the ones who are most defensive
Hmm.
because
Hmm. Hmm.
that's the meat of their unavailability.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
So basically, these are the few things that you can look out for, you know, you want to, but just to be sure that someone is actually emotionally unavailable. And then being emotionally available can be temporal.
Okay.
It can just be an occasional thing. Maybe there's something happening in the person's world. Perhaps the person just needs some help, to come out of something, a pressure, a point of pressure, or something. And those that are emotionally unavailable for a long period of time are the ones that we can actually call emotionally unavailable men over a
Okay.
period of time.
All right, that's very interesting now. Okay, now, so that takes me to my next question. You talked about some of them are consciously and unconsciously, intentionally and unintentional. Now, what could be the likely reasons why somebody who actually, got, involved with you, who decided to take on a journey with you, to go on a a partnership or relationship, whatever it is with you, all of a sudden would decide, or whether intentionally or intentionally, be unavailable emotionally? Why would somebody, what could be the likely reasons why, such things happen?
So at this point, we are going to now focus on the men, since we're talking about the men, because at this point, we cannot talk about the same reasons for both genders. You know, there are certain things that are peculiar to men, and some are peculiar to women. Now, let's take a look at our society and the expectations that the society has from men. A lot of men are under the pressure to be men. We are in a society where expressing your emotions can be termed as being weak or immature. Whereas being weak or immature doesn't have anything to do with expressing your emotions or actually letting yourself feel them. Some of the times that we run around looking for solutions, we're not looking for solutions just to fix the problem we have. We want to fix how we feel. A lot of times, people just want to fix how they feel. They just want to get, when you walk up to someone who may not have the capacity to solve your problem, and you're talking about your problem, what are you doing? You are fixing how you feel first. And now that can be very good in some occasions for some situations. It might be good to fix how you feel in order that you will be in the right frame of mind to solve the problem. However, in our society where they say, oh, be a man. Have you heard, be a man? Men don't cry. Be a man. Now, a child grows up thinking that he's weak when he cries. A child grows up when realizing, thinking that if he communicates how much he cares about a woman, he is being weak. We have names for these things. He's being weak. A man grows up thinking that when he has a challenge and he feels down, he's being weak. As a matter of fact, I have seen people actually chastise little boys for being too happy. So get a hold of yourself. You're just jumping up and down. So we're in a society where we communicate to the male folks that it's a weakness to express your emotions. It's not appropriate for a man to express his emotions. And this has made a lot of men get into that situation where they become numb. They don't want to experience it because they can't express it. And when they feel it, they hold back from expressing it. So that's why you find a lot of men find it difficult to say I love you and all those things to their spouses. You have to you know, and then you even find some of them find it difficult to show remorse. A lot of women can testify to the fact that many men do not like to apologize. They don't like to show remorse. And if they must apologize, you know, they try to do it casually in a way that, you know, it communicates that I don't feel anything. I'm just good. I'm just good. You know, sometimes you don't blame them, you know, because they grew up being told that they have to be together, you know, because they are the head of their home. They have to collect themselves. Collecting yourself is not depriving yourself of the privilege of feeling these beautiful emotions, because they are signals. They are just signals. What you need to learn is actually how to express them. Like I said earlier, you learn to interpret, understand what you feel, understand what you feel. When you understand what you feel, then you can now know how to communicate it. If you can just pause on your tracks when you feel an emotion, just to check, what am I feeling? Why do I feel this way? What exactly is making me feel this way? A number of times you realize that the feeling you feel, the emotion you feel, is not because of what was done to you. It's because of what's going on within you. So that way, you know what to communicate to the person that you're communicating to. And, you know, these things can be very difficult because there's a sense of urgency attached to emotions. You see something big, you see something beautiful, you achieve something, you are quick to make noise about it, jump up in joy and happiness. And then you're quick to want to tell somebody about it. I'm happy. You may have told somebody that you made $1 million before you realize that you may have to spend it all on the person. Just because you are too happy, you just want to say it, you just want to say it. So reason, that's one reason. Another reason is past rejections or even trauma. You know, a lot of people have suffered a lot of rejection because of how they feel, because they communicated how they feel, you know. And you know, rejection is something that is a matter we cannot do without. It happens. It happens. Some of the people who reject don't even know they are rejecting anyone. Rejection is something that is a situation. It's not exactly the intention of the people rejecting most of the time. It's just a situation that comes because of the conflict in our feelings and, you know, perceptions and all that. But a lot of people close up and they refuse to respond to the things happening around them anymore. They just don't want to respond because they don't want to be rejected. They don't want to be traumatized. Somebody who had a bad relationship, you know, and feels rejected, you know, feel deserted and all that. That kind of a person naturally just wants to protect himself. Humans naturally want to protect themselves. And some of the time, in fact, many times, we are protecting ourselves against what we will feel, not exactly against what will happen. So when you're trying not to be embarrassed, it's not just because of the embarrassment, because embarrassment is a conflict of perception. So if I feel I am well dressed, I'm wearing the best outfit, you know, in my wardrobe, and I am happy. I looked in the mirror, I was very happy with myself. And I get out there, and the people I'm going to see or I'm going out with happen to dress more glamorous. They are, you know, and all that. And I begin to feel embarrassed. Why didn't I feel embarrassed in my privacy? So it's a conflict of perception. The moment you begin to see yourself in the eye of those people, you begin to look small. You begin to feel you're not meeting up. And then you begin to feel embarrassed. And that's it with a lot of emotions. So we try to protect ourselves against these things. And that's why, you know, a lot of men, you find them say things like, if I show her too much that I love her, she's going to take me for granted. And being taken for granted brings a sense of rejection, a feeling of rejection. You don't want to be taken for, nobody wants to be taken for granted. It brings anger, you know. Another thing that, you know, makes people become emotionally unavailable is fear. Fear. How will I be received? How will I be treated? Will this person receive me? You can see this play out when a man sees a woman. No, I even want to try it the other way around. When a woman just feels so good about a man and feels attracted to him, she feels he may be attracted, but why do you think either way they don't walk up to talk to one another? Because of the fear of rejection, because you're not sure that this person is going to feel the same, is feeling the same way, or will respond the way I am communicating my own emotions. So it makes you hold back. So a lot of people, having been bruised and all that, they become fearful about communicating their emotions. There are a whole lot of reasons, but these are basic things. These are positive reasons, and also reasons why people can be unknowingly emotionally unavailable. Now, there are other reasons why men can be knowingly, even women, emotionally unavailable. Now, number one is when this person is actually communicating these emotions somewhere else. Now, when I say somewhere else, the first thing that comes to mind is that, oh, he has another woman out there. True, that's one way. Two, people have things, projects that they are passionate about, and then they release their emotions in the part of this, and they forget their spouse. And a lot of times men get to do this, perhaps because women are softened by childbirth, raising children and all that. They become more sensitive, and it seems that many women, not always the case, but many women prioritize their home, so they are more available, they are aware of what is happening, so they don't get to always be distant. But for the men folk, they have a lot of things that they are doing, and they get passionate about many things. They're passionate about sports, politics, and then business ideas, projects, and all that. When you are so involved in something, what you're doing is you're pouring your emotions into that thing. And see, there are certain projects that can take a whole lot from you that you will not have any more left for the people that are close to you. And because it's your spouse we are talking about here, you might just feel, what the heck, I'll see her later. We're always here together, we're always here. She understands, she knows what I'm doing. So that's another reason why we get emotionally unavailable, taking the other person for granted. Now, there's another part that has to do with the other party. That's the person who thinks someone is emotionally unavailable. People react. Sometimes men become emotionally unavailable because the women are emotionally unavailable. The demand that, of raising kids and running the home and all these things can sometimes be overwhelming. Just as the man can be overwhelming with trying to be a man, according to the world standard, making all the money, being strong. That happens to men too. Make more money. That's what a man should do. Take care of your family. And he's constantly under pressure, feeling disappointed in himself for not doing as much as expected. The same can happen to a woman. And now, childbirth is part of the reasons women get emotionally unavailable. Now, the man is seeing that she's emotionally unavailable. The feeling of rejection sets in, and it closes up. So it can be a response to an emotionally unavailable spouse. So these are the basic, sources. There are lots more. The truth is, there's no one way to these things. There are lots more. Because if you ask about personal experience, you will hear a lot of reasons why people can be emotionally unavailable.
Wow, that's a lot to take in. I'm sure my audience they are getting good knowledge, good knowledge. Because the truth is this, oftentimes people, we always, relate with people the way we feel about ourselves. So oftentimes when we don't understand who we are, it's easy for us to begin to seek for our sense of identity from the other person. While the other person is fine and doing well, but because we are clingy, kind of, because we don't have a good sense of identity from who we are, we begin to expect so much from the other person, and now we now begin to tag the other fellow that the person is not doing enough, is not expressing, is not noticing, and is not feeling your vibes or something. Yeah, I think that's a good one there. So that takes me to my next question. Now, as a woman, okay, in this case, for today, we're actually streamlining our conversation, how women should deal with their spouses or their partners that who they deem or they consider emotionally unavailable. So because we cannot have a broad conversation, time will not permit, time will not permit. So we're just going to streamline it to women. Now, as a woman, what should be your response in terms of state of mind, disposition, attitude? Because most women, they feel like they are being neglected, they feel unwanted, they feel unloved, they feel uncared for, they feel as though they are not noticed, they feel as though their efforts are not being recognized and appreciated. And as a result, a lot of emotions, they begin to misinterpret situations, they begin to overreact, they begin to take decisions and make complaints endlessly. So what should be the right response?
Thank you. Now we are where we are going. We have arrived at our destination. Yeah, to start with, I like to point out to many women that marriage or whatever relationship we share with the male folk is just one aspect of our lives. And a lot of women need that reminder. That's just one aspect of a woman's life or even a man's life. Now, to have for you to have a sense of fulfillment, you need to ensure that you pay attention to all the aspects of your life. So your relation, even now, relationship is one aspect of life. Now, your marriage is a subset of relationship. Can you see? It's really, if you look at it that way, relationship is one aspect of life and marriage is a subset. That means that if you focus only on your relationship, your marital relationship, you do not pay attention to other aspects of your life. You might be thinking someone is emotionally unavailable when he's actually paying attention to what he needs to pay attention to. And this is the case with a lot of women. It looks as if women are chasing men and men are chasing other things. So it's a lifetime of rat race. You find the man is, thinking about money, thinking about his friends, thinking about to hang out, the next football match and all those things. And then the woman is after him. She's angry, is watching football. She's angry, a lot of women just need to be reminded that that's one aspect of life. And I think this lack of balance that a lot of women experience is because of the communication that the society has, been given to them over the years as they were growing. A woman feels that being able to get married is an achievement, but marriage is not an achievement. Marriage is not in any way an achievement, both for the male folk and the females. It's not an achievement. What you're doing is you are coming into alliance with another so you can now achieve. Marriage is not an achievement. You can choose not to marry and you can choose to marry. Now, I'm pro-marriage, but I'm just saying that it's not an achievement. It's not something that they'll put on your CV, so that people will see that you've done something great. You have only chosen to come together with somebody so you can now begin to achieve. Why? Because it's partnership. It's partnership. It's something that enables you function well. That relation, the marital relationship, is supposed to give you the kind of comfort that you need to function well. Now, what now happens when you leave everything and now focus on the marriage? Frustration is the only thing you will experience, especially if you're relating with someone who is not doing the same. And most of the time, men, because they are saddled with the burden of providing for the home, and a lot of times their self-esteem is tied to it, which is wrong. Their self-esteem is tied to it. You find a man is sad and weak, and sometimes they even fall ill because they don't have money in their accounts. Why? Because he's defining himself, by the amount in his account. Now, you now find this man is married to a woman who does not think about where the money will come from. He brings the money, who doesn't think about any other thing except my kids and my husband. And the husband is busy. So to start with, women need to begin to focus on other aspects of their lives, their career, things that they want to do, other relationships, their friends, other family members, the children. Do you know that a lot of women are emotionally unavailable to their kids? They are always busy. The kids can't communicate with them. The kids can't relate with the kids, can't cry to them. They can't lean on them. Why? Because they are saddled with the burden of making progress in life and dragging their husband along. He won't leave. He won't leave. So it looks like a project for a woman to, latch onto a man and grab him and not release him, which is unhealthy. It's unhealthy. Marriage is is an alliance between two healthy humans, two healthy women. Social health, humans, you need to come together. So you need to focus on yourself. A lot of people have left themselves. Women, they've left themselves. They don't take care of themselves. They don't have vision. They don't have dreams. They don't have things they want to do. They don't have things they're passionate about. Now, I understand that not every woman will be all out there, but where you are, you can be relevant. I always make a joke to women when I talk to them. I tell them, I look forward to seeing parents who will be professional parents, especially women who will be professional parents. Why? If parenting is all you have in your hand right now, why are you doing it as though you're helpless? Take your book and begin to research on parenting, because that's what you have, and you'll become a professional parent. Because what all these professionals did is that they researched about these things, they have knowledge of it, and they are doing it very well, and they are making money from it. So you can make yourself a professional parent. Pour your emotions into other things. We find that a lot of women are incomplete in themselves, and they feel that it is the men that will complete them. But no, we are two complete people coming together to make a whole one. If you come with two incomplete people, then you can't have whole. So that's the basic thing that I think a lot of women need to focus on. They need to focus on being complete on their own, be secured in who they are, and understand that they are not defined by whether they are married or not, or the success of their marriage. You find people suffer self-esteem because they had to go through divorce. Why? Because their self-esteem was tied to the idea of being married. A lot of times people want to get married not because they're excited about sharing life. They don't even know anything about sharing life. They're only excited about the idea of being married, how the world will perceive them, how people will see them, the beauty of their wedding ceremony and their wedding dress. It's the idea we are excited about, because if we really have the opportunity to know what marriage is, we'll understand that it is more of a responsibility than it is fantasy. So one aspect is women need to get to the point where they take care of themselves. Now, the next thing I feel a woman should do if her spouse is emotionally unavailable is she should talk to him. Now, because there are people who are unknowingly emotionally unavailable, there's the need to talk. Now, I said talk. I didn't say keep talking, because you might just talk once and not have to talk for a while again. What a lot of women do is they keep talking. They complain, they lament. You've been distant. When last did you come back home early? Every day you come back at 10 p.m. or even 12, and then they begin to even suspect the man and give him ideas that were not in his mind. So you need to talk to him. It's a simple sentence. This is why we need a lot of emotional intelligence in marriage. And I think a lot of couples should, grow in emotional intelligence and learn. Because if we can learn these things, we'll know how to communicate to one another. Like I said, you need to be able to interpret your feelings before you communicate it. If need be, it's not all the time our emotions should be communicated. Sometimes it should be, sometimes it should not be. In this case, there is no need to communicate emotions if you're going to talk to someone who is emotionally unavailable. If you communicate emotions, you won't push the person away. So you need to be sure you're communicating clearly and state what you want to know. Hey, have you observed you've been emotionally distant, or you've been distant of late? Wait until the person is interested before you now start doling out the reasons why you said so. Now, there are two ways they will respond. Is either you will find the man respond with a surprise, one, and remorse. Or he may not even be surprised, but he will show remorse. Now, when you find a man respond that way, like, I noticed it. The one who is surprised was unaware. The one who is not surprised, most likely, is aware but didn't know what to do or has his reasons. Now, if that's one way, when a man responds that way, you have your inroad to continue the conversation and see how you guys can walk through this. You can both walk through it. Now, for the other one who is emotionally unavailable intentionally, is aware or is not aware, but he's just unwilling to find out, you may have a long journey in your hand. And you may not need to continue until someone accepts he or she is emotionally unavailable. You don't have any conversation you want to have. There's no need for the conversation. Now you will have to embrace the life that you have. You know, someone I respect said something. She said, cry over the life that you have now, over the life that you desire. The life that you desire. Cry over it. Wail, then wipe your tears and embrace the life that you have. So when you find out that your husband is emotionally unavailable and you talk to your husband and is defensive, is accusing you, is irritable, is angry, this is the time to embrace, cry over the emotionally unavailable husband and embrace the life that you have. It means it's not a situation of I'm divorcing you. No, because it might be temporal. It's not a reason to divorce, as it were. It's just a reason for you to discover yourself and live your life as you ought to. So that will be the time for a woman to focus on living life successfully. If you wanted to go to school, it will be a good time to go. Now, sitting down and waiting for a man to get over being emotionally unavailable might be very frustrating. So this is why we need to engage in other aspects of our lives and begin to love and respond to the love of the people. You know, there's a particular attitude, you know, that you see with newly married couples. They begin to, you know, separate themselves from the people that, you know, were around them, extended family, friends. They begin to feel like they've entered into a new realm, like life has changed for me. I've become a respectable woman. I'm married. My single friends will not understand what's going on in my life. They will not understand only one aspect, marriage. What about the other aspects? So we find that, you know, we seclude ourselves the moment we are married. And then you hear things like, it's me. There's even a good saying, a common saying, sorry, not so good. Common saying, there will be no third party, just me and my husband. No third party. You know, a lot of people believe that is positive, but it's negative. It means that you are giving room for evil to thrive. Evil thrives in secrecy. So you edge everybody out. When you begin to suffer, there's no other place to express your emotions, to relieve yourself, because you have pulled everybody away, you have pushed them away, and you're just all by yourself. So that would be a good time to begin to intentionally build other relationships and feel secure. Build relationships, focus on your career, focus on your way of being relevant in the society. We all need to, you know, people think that the only relevance, women especially, the only way they can be relevant is to raise their children. There's a lot of ways. Raising your kids, yes, it's a good place to be, but there are many things you can do. You know, a lot of times we crush opportunities just to get to the opportunities that we are looking at ahead. We are forgetting that the opportunities that are right before us are stepping stones to the one we are seeing ahead. So this is what we do. Rather than carefully take every step and move towards that opportunity ahead that we do not even know how to get to, we begin to crush all the opportunities before us and begin to behave as though they are irrelevant. That's how we do with relationships. Because we want to grow in our relationship with our husbands, what do? We begin to crush our relationship with our siblings, with our parents, our friends, colleagues, and all that. We crush them. Why? Because we feel, oh, now my family life just, there's a need for human beings to experience the kind of intimacy that marriage brings. And it's very important. Now, that intimacy, that is not the same thing as being secluded and being closed up to the people around you. So, and that intimacy is not something that is in action every minute and every second and every hour of your life, which means other relationships, there's room for other relationships. And the more we intentionally feel these relationships, the healthier we are emotionally and ready to focus on our marriage. What have you not observed that spouses, no matter what issues they are having in their home, when they get into the public space, they tend to act like they are in love because there's room. Their emotions, there's room to express their emotions. Why? Because there's another emotion replacing the negative one at home. What is that emotion? The joy and excitement of relating with other people, the desire to look good before other people. It overwhelms you and you forget about the issue for that moment and you begin to function as though everything is okay. Now, can we use that positively and say, okay, so I'm going to truly feel my relationships so that the atmosphere within me, my emotions will be in good state and ready to respond to my spouse. Now, you will, if, for example, your level of frustration is 95%, if you were focusing on just your husband, by focusing on other aspects of your life and other relationships and feeling them intentionally and then focusing on your career and being relevant in the society can cut it down to as low as 40%. So, and the less you feel the pain, the less frustrated you feel. Okay, there are people who may never ever have their spouse back. How do we want them to live life? How do we want them to survive? How do we want them to be useful in the society? So the first place to start is when you have your spouse, be a complete person without him. Be complete. Live your life completely without him so that you will not be frustrating him. Because if you hear the men folks' opinion, you realize some of them are actually frustrated and choked with the rate at which women want them around. They want them around in the morning, they want them around in the evening, they go to the office, they want to talk to them, the reason a lot of women are like that is because there's nothing else taking that space of excitement and joy in them. And it's time to begin to create it. It might take time, but that will happen. The one last thing I'd like to say is stop chasing him around if he's unwilling to accept he's emotionally unavailable. You might have to hold your own emotions together a bit. See, managing your emotions, emotional intelligence is something you practice. It's not inherent. You practice it. When the rush of emotion comes, I like to use anger because that's the one that comes at us in a way we don't expect. When the rush of anger comes, now you practice managing it by choosing first not to respond. See, I own my emotions. You own your emotions. Your emotions does not own you. You drive your emotions. Your emotions does not drive you. So you begin to now drive yourself towards the right expression. Now I feel anger, but I may not communicate anger. I can communicate displeasure when I feel anger. I'm feeling anger, but I'm communicating displeasure. When I feel anger and I communicate anger, there'll be an outburst. But when I communicate displeasure, I am precise. I communicate precisely what it is I do not like. So we need to learn to grow in managing our emotions and stop throwing our emotions out on these men and putting a lot of pressure on them because they can't keep up. The truth is, no human can keep up with what's going on within the other human. Back to you.
Woo! This is a lot to chew. I wonder why the time is running so fast. I don't know, but we have just few minutes left. We have just few minutes. I still have some questions to ask, but obviously we can't take all of those questions now. But on the final note, I have a question here. So let me just jump down to this question so that because we don't really have much time. Now it says, can regret of marrying the wrong spouse cause men to be intentionally, emotionally unavailable and not wanting to be committed to their marriage? People have this idea that they married wrongly. That if they had married somebody else, maybe they would be in a better place. Yeah.
Well, before you marry, there's something like marrying wrongly. After you marry, make it work. Make it
You have no
now.
choice.
Now, that regret, that sense of regret can actually make one emotionally unavailable.
Yeah,
Agreed. But it now boils down to, why do you feel this person is wrong? This is something, is the wrong spouse. This is something we cannot generalize. It has to be personal. Why is
mhm,
this person the wrong? Before you call somebody wrong, I mean, you need to be sure of what you're saying. Now, I may not be able to adequately sort this out, because saying somebody you married the wrong person is something that needs to be checked very well. You need to be certain that you actually married the wrong person, or you are taking the wrong posture. That could be the issue. You might just be taking the wrong posture. Because what a lot, I've related with a lot of spouse, yeah, couples, and what I see, when they say I married the wrong person, is that the person is not trying to be what they want them to be. That's, like, so you feel offended. Why are you not fitting into the picture I created for myself from childhood? And then they conclude they married the wrong person. So marriage, let me tell you, one key thing in marriage is that you have to be willing to change. You have to be willing to change. When you get into it and you see that this is what is happening, you see that you'll find difficult to change this other person. What you need to ask yourself is, how do I change? How can I posture better to see how my marriage can work? If you can posture better, you can get the person to see. There's one more thing that I need to point out. Sometimes we do not know we don't value what we have until we are missing these things.
exactly.
And this is why you shouldn't be all over an emotionally unavailable spouse, because sometimes you need to let them miss it. Now, some women do that, to manipulate the men to see that they are angry, but that's not the case. Sometimes just move on with your life. Let him see what is missing. But if you don't let him see what is missing, he may not realize he has been emotionally unavailable. So
Yeah.
a lot of times, this is the case. It's perception, more a perception issue than being emotionally unavailable. But yes, Bolale, you can become emotionally unavailable when you realize or you feel you married the wrong person.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Oh, I mean, undoubtedly, we are bringing you again. We're bringing you again. There's a whole lot to, that we want to drink, from the well of knowledge and experience that you've got. I thank you so very much for honoring, this invitation to share with us your thoughts on this particular issue. I'm sure my viewers, my audience have been informed, they've been educated, they've been, they have been empowered, they've been inspired, to be more, to live out their life, to chase after their dreams, to be rounded, and to be content with what they have and work with what they have to be the best version of themselves. Thank you so very much. I really do appreciate this honor that you've done us today. Thank you so very much. All right. So next week, keep a date with us. Next week, we'll bring another episode, another interesting topic, on Discovery Tuesday. This is when we talk about all things relationship, all things relationship. If there's a topic, a subject matter that you want us to discuss, feel free. Follow us on our Instagram and do follow us on our YouTube and listen to our podcast on Buzzsprout and also on Anchor. You listen to previous episode. There's a Monday edition, there's a Wednesday edition. On different days we talk about different aspects because our goal in our Afrocentric podcast is to showcase African voices. showcase our thoughts, our concepts, our culture, and the things that really do matter to us. So thank you once again for everyone that joined us today. We want to hear about your comments. Feel free to drop your comments, feel free to drop your observation. We'll surely do get back to you, and please keep a day with us next week. Also, we also wouldn't mind if you buy us coffee. We have our links that you can support this work that we do. Obviously, it takes a lot to be on air, and I know that you will want to drink from this rich resource that has been made available. So feel free to buy us coffee. You in the comment section, you will find the details there and how to do that. And also, until we come your way again, keep discovering, keep growing, and keep being the best version of yourself. There's more to you than you could ever possibly realize. So be more and keep discovering. Thank you so much for joining us today. Until we come your way again next week, keep living and keep enjoying the life that you've got. Bye.